Good morning guys, welcome back to our channel. So I've just made some breakfast, as you probably saw before. So I have a smoothie which really turned out to be like a thick shake because the avocado makes it super duper thick. So I've got in here strawberries. So I got some organic frozen strawberries this week, which have been really nice. They were on sale. And then I've got some coconut milk, some chia seeds, some protein powder because I always put protein powder in there, and also half of an avocado. So whenever I make smoothies, I always try to include obviously a protein powder for a protein source and then also a fat source. So either some frozen avocado or like coconut yogurt or something like that, or you could do things like nut butters. I don't typically use a lot of nut butters because if I buy nut butters and bring them into the house, it's a problem for me because I can't control myself around nut butter, but it's super yummy, super thick. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be having for breakfast this morning. I just felt like having something really easy. So today is a Friday and I was thinking of going to the gym this morning, but I've decided that I'm going to leave that till this afternoon or later tonight, and hopefully it's not raining because I like to walk to the gym, but we'll see how we go. It's not currently raining, but I feel like we might have a cyclone hitting by that stage. Also, I got my hair chopped off once again. I was talking about this over on Instagram stories and asking you guys whether I should cut it short again. I didn't really change it that much. I just took off like another ½ inch or so because it was getting to be like a bit of an annoying length. But if you were watching our story, I'm in kind of a bind because I'm not sure if I should be cutting my hair or leaving it to grow because presumably I'll be having a wedding at some stage. Nothing is planned at this point. Like I have done El Zilcho, but yeah, I don't know if I should be starting to grow my hair out to have it long at a wedding because for some reason in my head, and I think a lot of people had this, when I mentioned it on stories, a lot of people related to this. It was really interesting. At your wedding as a girl, for some reason you just have an image that you'll have long hair. I don't know what it is because personally I think my hair is kind of nicer when it's short, but there's just something like inherently super girly about having long hair at a wedding. I don't know, that's where I'm at the moment. So I think from this stage I'm just gonna let my hair grow out and get longer maybe, but we'll see what happens. And I thought today I'd also do a little recipe. So I wanted to do like a keto protein bar sort of thing. So Nick's been out of town for the past week. He's been over in Perth on a work trip, but I thought I'd surprise him when he gets back and I'll have some little snacks prepared for him. What I have in mind is actually very similar to a recipe that we already have here on the channel. So they're called, I think, paleo collagen bars or something, collagen slice we might have called it, but I'm thinking that I might make a few little adjustments to that recipe and see if we can improve it. But that's what I'm going to try and do this morning. Later today I'll go to the gym. We'll see where the day takes us. Righto guys, so I'm going to go ahead and make these keto protein bars. So I'm going to get out all of my ingredients and I'll kind of show you what I'm going to be using and we can go through the process together. Don't know if it's going to work out, can't guarantee that, but we're gonna try it anyway. So I just ducked out to the shops and I picked up a few things to make this collagen slice slash protein bars. I'm gonna call them keto protein bars. They're actually not even gonna include collagen because I have a different kind of protein powder I'm gonna be using. So the Matcha Reserve was really lovely and sent us a few of their protein powders. So I'm gonna be trying out their organic pea protein. And one thing that I think is really nice about these protein powders is that they're not sweetened with anything. So they're just a plain protein powder, which is a bit different to other protein powders, which can sometimes have a bunch of different ingredients in them. They like to add a lot of things like maca and different herbal stuff, which to be honest, I don't really like that. I don't like people picking out what they're gonna put in my protein powder. So what I'm thinking is because this is quite plain, it's gonna be really ideal for cooking and for making things like protein balls. I'm gonna sit you guys down and let's see how we go. Keep in mind that, again, I have not made this recipe before. Like we've done something similar, but I'm gonna be like kind of winging it with this one again. Where can I sit you guys? Okay, that's pretty good. We always end up in this situation where I have to like duck down and I look like I'm not wearing any pants. So what I'm gonna be using in this recipe, actually, I'll get out all of my ingredients and we can go through it together. Okay, so ingredients wise today, I'm gonna try using some of the organic pea protein powder by the Matcha Reserve. I've also got one of these no sugar dark chocolate bars. So it uses erythritol instead of sugar, which is a sugar alcohol. So we're going to try this out and make it like a cookie dough flavor. I've also got some flaxseed, some macadamia nuts, some sea salt, some stevia, and then also coconut oil. And of course some vanilla bean paste. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but let's give this a try and hopefully something comes together. So first thing I'm gonna do is put in some macadamias. So I'm gonna try about a cup of macadamias to start, and we'll see how that goes. These are just the raw unsalted macadamias. You don't want to get the ones with salt because you're gonna have very salty keto bars. So I've probably got about 1 1/4 cups in here, but we're gonna go with it. I'm just gonna whiz this up first before we put in any of the other ingredients to kind of turn it into like a macadamia butter. So we've pretty much got straight up macadamia butter at this point. Look at that, isn't it beautiful? So you can see it's really finely milled up, which is exactly what we want. So now I think I'm gonna go in and add the protein powder, followed by the flaxseed meal. I'm just gonna start with 4 tablespoons of the organic pea protein powder. Start with 1 teaspoon of flax just to see how we go. I don't want to overkill it because sometimes flax can make things taste a bit weird. So we'll do 2 teaspoons. And that's probably going to need a little bit of liquid too. Put in maybe 2 tablespoons of filtered water. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. I'm going to put in some of the other little add-ins. So I'm going to go in with the vanilla bean paste, about 1 1/2 teaspoons of our stevia, maybe just a smidget of coconut oil. So I'm just going to do a teaspoon of coconut oil and a pinch of salt. So it's tasting pretty good. So the last thing that I'm gonna do is put in some of our chocolate. I'm just gonna slice this up really roughly with a knife. I'm just gonna add in like a tiny bit more water, maybe like 1 more tablespoon. So this is the texture that I have at the moment. So it is actually quite a lot like cookie dough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transfer this into like this little baking dish, and I'm gonna put it into the fridge or the freezer and see how it kind of turns out after it's had a little bit of time cooling down. It's looking pretty good, but at room temperature, I don't know that this would completely hold together. So I'm just gonna put down some baking paper so that we can fish this out when it's done. Then I'm just going to flatten this out so that we can cut it up later into bars. So that's what we have at the moment. So I'm going to pop this into the fridge for a little bit and see how we go after it's had some time to cool down. Okay, so it has been a good 30 minutes, so I'm gonna check and see how these protein bars are going. I actually ended up popping them into the freezer just to kind of speed up the process, but I'm really hoping that they have kind of like solidified and that they can hold together on their own. Let's find out. So as you can see, it actually looks pretty good in the tin and it feels really hard. Ooh, it looks so cool. Guys, it like legit looks like a bar, but let's like cut these into little... Wow, they're so cool. I'm so happy with how they turned out. Keep in mind that I don't know how these will go like outside of the fridge, so they're probably something that you still have to keep mostly refrigerated, but to be honest, that's like the problem with most keto snacks because they tend to be using a lot of oils and like fatty nuts and things like that. So this is what they look like. They're super cute and I'll try a bit. I probably would actually cut these a bit smaller for like a little snack size, but these are gonna be so good. So the bars are done and I've actually made myself a bit of an iced coffee. It's kind of melting a little bit, but unfortunately these bars are getting a little bit soft out of the freezer, so it's something that again you will have to refrigerate and freeze and then eat it that way, which is not exactly what I was going for. I was kind of hoping that they might hold together outside of the fridge, but they're still good. I might have to tweak the recipe a little bit. But yeah, so they were kind of a half success. They taste really good, but I might have to try it just a few more times to see if we can get it to hold together. So are we even surprised anymore? For lunch today, I have another bowl. So these days, I have been obsessed with these easy lunch bowls. So today, I have some sweet potato for our carbs. We have some avocado for our healthy fat, and we also have 2 pastured eggs for our protein and some healthy fat. And I've got some arugula or rocket at the bottom of this bowl as kind of like the base. Topped it with some salt and pepper. You could add on different sauces if you like. Actually, I slam that onto the table. I'll show you guys a sauce that Nick really likes, like a sauce dressing sort of thing. I'll be right back. It is the Byron Bay Chili Co jalapeno sauce. So I think they do a few different kinds of sauces. They're all kind of like more spicy type ones, but the ingredients are relatively clean. So it's like a good option for something if you're doing paleo and you kind of want some more flavor in there, or like a dressing or a sauce. So this is just a really good clean option that you can pick up from Woolworths, because sometimes you just don't feel like making a sauce all yourself because it's quite a bit of work and it can make a bit of a mess. We do have recipes for aioli on our channel. I've done a pesto recipe as well. So there are options that you can obviously make from home that are homemade. But yeah, just nice, like on a whim, to be able to go and pick up a few things. So I'm gonna eat my lunch, and at some point this afternoon, I'm gonna go to the gym, I hope, because it's starting to cloud over. So I thought I'd jump on here really quickly and have a chat about something that's been on my mind this afternoon. And I think it comes up kind of whenever we do more recipe videos, is we'll get a few like comments in our comment section that are just a little bit nitpicky. It happens very rarely, to be honest. So like 99.9% of you are super lovely, but every now and then there's just that 0.01% that will say something that's a little bit critical, which is like, everyone's entitled to their opinion, I suppose. But we'll get people saying things like, you use 90% Lindt chocolate, therefore this recipe isn't paleo because Lindt chocolate has like a tiny bit of refined sugar in it, which I kind of just think is silly in the scheme of things. Like, it's so insignificant that's not even like on my radar of things to care about. Or we'll get other kinds of comments. I think lately we got a really funny one. It said, coconut yogurt isn't paleo, which, like, sure, it may not have been around in the Paleolithic era, but still like derived from coconut, natural food, it's cultured food. I don't know. But yeah, so we do get comments from time to time that are like, XYZ isn't paleo, which is kind of like paleo police. And every now and then we'll get a few messages from you guys being like, is this paleo? There's usually some kind of fringe item like quinoa or something like that. And those questions are fine, by the way. I'm absolutely fine with receiving those questions. But I thought it would be kind of interesting to come on here and talk about my thoughts on the way I eat these days and kind of how I see food. Of course, this doesn't apply necessarily to people who are following a paleo approach for specific health reasons, or if you know that you react to some specific food. This is mostly, you know, for people that are doing a paleo style approach just for general health and well-being. So for myself personally, I kind of, I guess, do a paleo style approach, but it's more like 80-20, or like more like 90-10 probably. Every now and then I'll eat a food that is not considered technically paleo. For example, I eat Lindt dark chocolate pretty much every single day. I get the 90% one, so it's very dark chocolate and the amount of refined sugar is not very high. If you want it to be like ultra technical paleo police about it, it's probably not paleo, but it's just not something that I'm even concerned about. And then with other items, I kind of see things on a spectrum. So there are some foods that I just avoid completely, I don't eat. So things like gluten containing products, things with wheat, I'm fairly strict about all those things. I might have it very occasionally, if at all, but in general those foods I avoid completely. Then as you kind of move up the spectrum, you have things like legumes, dairy, I can't even think at the moment, but legumes and dairy, for example. Legumes are not something that I'm particularly stressed about. If I have them occasionally, I'm not bothered. Of course, if you're really sensitive to lectins, or if you specifically knew that you reacted to legumes, if you had like a FODMAP sensitivity or something like that, then it does make sense to avoid legumes, obviously. But for like just in general, they're not something that I'm overly concerned about. They're probably not the best thing to be eating. They crowd out more nutritious foods, but as they are, like, it's not that big of a deal. And then there's other things like dairy, which is kind of the same deal. There are definitely people that do want to avoid dairy. So if you have a dairy sensitivity, if you are lactose intolerant, then you probably do want to be avoiding dairy. But in general, there are a lot of people who do tolerate dairy, and in that case, I think it's fine to include it from time to time. Whether or not it should play a huge part in your diet is another question, and obviously you want to choose high quality, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Dairy does contain a lot of nutrition, despite what anybody wants to say about it. So I do include dairy from time to time. I'm not super strict about dairy, and of course I'm not eating like bigger stringers or like plastic cheese, but yeah, so that's kind of where I sit with dairy and those items. Obviously there's a lot of other foods that we could talk about, but I think it is just kind of important to kind of bring up that we don't eat like super strict all the time. I eat kind of 90-10. There are some foods that I don't eat, and there are some foods that I'm like not that fussed about. Sorry guys, the camera died for a bit, but I'm back. But I think the last thing that I kind of wanted to say, where I'm at with my diet right now, I'm feeling really good about it. I feel pretty content. I never really feel deprived or like unhappy about the way that we eat. And I think that it really does help to kind of have more of a 90-10 mindset. And that doesn't mean that every day you kind of eat crap or anything. There'll probably be a bunch of days where you eat 100% really well, but I just don't stress when I eat something that's like not considered paleo. I think, yeah, it's kind of two parts. It's like following a 90-10 approach and like picking my battles wisely. So there are some foods that I avoid and some foods that I'm really not that worried about. So yeah, I hope that helps some of you guys. I hope that all made sense, because sometimes I just ramble and I'm not sure like where it's gone. Anyway, I'm gonna head to the gym and I'll see you guys in a bit. So we have jumped through time a bit. So I ended up heading to the gym, did a little bit of a leg workout, and now I've just come home and I've made some curry for dinner. So this is just the butter chicken that we make all the time. No surprises here. I'm just gonna eat some dinner, but I'll close off the vlog here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too boring. And if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed for more healthy living related videos. And I'll see you guys in our next one. Bye guys.